grapefruits! Fake! Liar! You liar!
Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is Sunday Night Live. Live, L-I-V-E, something that the Democrats don't want us to be. No, they don't. Good golly, we've got a lot of SHTF stuff going on, folks. It has hit the fan. Some big things are going on. We've got war on the one hand. We've got social chaos at the rim of the glass. The rim of the glass, and it's about to spill over. We're going to cover that kind of material. Doing a combination of winding myself up with coffee and going to relax with some scotch. Oh, and that reminds me, if you got something to say, get your comments down below by hitting that button right up there, the super chat button. It is Sunday Night Live. Instructions are right here, right? We'll make you famous. What do you want to talk about? What's on your mind? And it is the prepared mind, folks, that sees what is happening, recognizes something isn't quite right, and knowing that we can take steps to mitigate the problems, right? It's called prepping. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and your plan. I know you've got it together. We've all got work to do, though, folks, to understand where we're at, to see where we're going, and to be ready for what happens. Whew. So get your questions in right now. I want to start out with a big super chat donation coming from none other than Chin Music. And you guessed it, it's over $50, and that buys a Glenlivet 18 years scotch right there. I'll just pour that bad boy up to the bullet. And Chin Music has done a 53-06 super chat donation. That's one hell of a round there if it ever existed. Here's to you, Chin Music. Thank you for your great support of the channel. Let's kick off this show. There is that. And this is what Chin Music has to say to kick off this Sunday Night Live. And he says this: he who has a why can bear any how. This country with all its warts is still the best place on earth. Keep fighting. Semper Fi, John. Can't watch today. Have a good night, everyone. I'll watch the replay. Well, I'm sorry we won't have Chin Music Live, but he's right about what he had to say. A little coffee and scotch, not a bad thing. He who has a why can bear any how, as in, just simple philosophy in such a clean way. Also very complex. I was thinking about this today, and this is right back at you, Chin Music. Think about this. I was thinking, why should I stay here in America? Why should you and I stay here in America? Why should we stay here in America and fight for this place? Right? This country is being destroyed by the leftists. Why should we stay? And my thought was, well, if it's not me and it's not you, then who's going to do it? He who has a why. Why should I? Why should I stay here? So Chin Music's comment here fit right into my thinking. And I thought, because there's no one else who will. Because there's no one else who can. And there's no one else who knows how. He who has a why can bear any how. How are we going to do this? Oh, I know. I know exactly how this goes. But why? Why should we do it? Because there's no better place on earth. And if we don't stand our ground here in America, if we don't fix this wart-covered problem, there's no other place on earth that'll be safe. Period. There will be no other place on earth that is safe. And I think that is sadly a scary fact we're all going to get to deal with. All right. Looks like the chair there needed a little help. Now, understand this. It is your show on Sunday Night Live. You hit that super chat button, get your comments, your question up here, your thoughts, your philosophy, and we will discuss. We will discuss what is happening. So, basically, to kind of cover more of Chin Music's idea, I ran into this story today that was heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. And I want to share it with you. And this is it. In South Africa, which is a nation populated by black and white people, a nation populated by Europeans and Africans, a nation that's been coexisting with all peoples for hundreds of years. We got a problem there. We have a group of people who are socialists, who are communists, who believe that they have a right to the land and no one else should. And so they're promoting the idea of murdering people that they don't like. Sounds like a pretty common theme, doesn't it? Sounds like a common theme. It's okay for the Ukraine military to murder Russians inside of Ukraine. It's okay for Hamas to murder Israelis because they don't like them. It's okay to lock up Trump supporters because you don't like their politics. It's okay to kill white farmers because you don't like them being in Africa. So a young man, his age is 14 years old. His age was 14 years old. He is now shot dead. Now, his farm was attacked. 14-year-old with his mom, his family, his farm was attacked, and he ended up killing 2 of the attackers. And then they were attacked again, and this second time, the 14-year-old boy has been shot dead by his mother, and his mother was there at the second time, right? He protected his mother. Not shot dead by her, but shot dead so she wouldn't get shot. And I read that article, and I looked at the pictures, and I read the comments from everyone, and I realized that you and I are Americans, and we are awake. And we all need to wake up and take that next big breath and think about what's happening and what's coming our way. Folks, in South Africa, the government is doing nothing to stop criminals from attacking these white farmers and murdering them. They're doing nothing to stop the racist scumbags in South Africa who want to use someone's skin color as an excuse for murder. Someone's race, someone's religion, right? These things that we're all supposed to believe are, well, individual and acceptable, and it's how life is, and that's what makes being human great. There's all kinds of us. But now they're using it as an excuse. We were told when we grew up that killing someone based on their race or religion is wrong. Kind of like the Nazis killing the Jews and the Romani and other Europeans they didn't like just because they were something different than what the Germans were. The same with the Russians, who killed millions of Jews, millions of their own people, as the Soviet communists. They took on the mantle of socialism, just like the Nazis took on the mantle of socialism. Well, South Africa, folks, is socialist. And what do we have in America? Now we have socialists in the Democrat Party and socialist Republicans, who we lovingly call rhinos. Republicans in name only. We need to wake up, folks. The government, all governments everywhere, have a duty to protect all the people, even in South Africa, regardless of color. But down in South Africa, folks, the government is leaving whites to protect themselves. They're not taking care of the criminal element. They're not investigating. They're not arresting. They're not throwing them in jail. Wake up, America. Here, it's less about color, and it's more about politics. They use the names, the pejorative terms that they use in a race war here to call anyone they don't like a white supremacist or a Nazi. Even if you're black, they'll call you a white supremacist and a Nazi. It's not so much about color as it is about politics, identity politics, labels. Folks, there's going to be a purge here, I think, and I think it's coming soon. And it's not about color. It's not about race. It's about politics and what political system we want. The purge is going to be about political belief systems. And Democrats are allowing violence in their jurisdictions. In Republican jurisdictions, no. In Democrat jurisdictions, yes. Criminals, they're allowed to steal from stores, and they won't be arrested or persecuted or prosecuted or in any way bothered or hampered. In fact, if you bother a criminal, they'll scream racist at you. Yeah. Can you believe that? The criminal will call you names. They can assault the police, folks. The government will let criminals out of jail, and they don't care in many American cities already. And I think soon we're going to see that turn loose on Americans. Right? The criminals are learning very quickly they're not being punished, that they can do what they want, that they can attack people based on their perceived injustices. Now I remember hearing that if you or I, tell me what you think about this, that if you or I took action against criminals, that would be vigilantism, and that's just wrong. That's just wrong. But what are we getting from the left, from the Democrats, socialists? We're hearing that, well, they're gonna take care of justice. They're going to be militant about it. They're going to seek to correct injustices. They're going to do it socially. They're going to do it in business. They're going to do it in government. They're going to do it in education. They're going to do it on the street. They're going to seek justice. They're going to become vigilante citizens for socialism. Soon, folks, we're going to see this turn loose, as it is in Africa here. They're going to start allowing the murder, outright murder. They're going to start calling for outright murder of certain peoples. Oh, the Israelis, folks, Jews, they already know it in America. They already feel it. It's already happened. They're going to come after white people. They're going to come after black people. They're going to come after anyone who loves freedom and liberty. That's who they're going to come after, folks. We're going to see them turn this same system that they're trying out in Africa. You're going to see how it works here. There's a lot to talk about, folks. This has everything to do with SHTF. Now, it is Sunday Night Live, and even though I have just a ton of stuff to talk about, this is your show. If you have question, comment, thought, prediction, you can hit the super chat button. We'll get your statement, your question up here on the screen, and we're going to talk about what's going on. Whether it's World War III or the screwball antics of the extreme leftist sexual perverts, or everywhere and everything in between, it's up to you. You get to pick the topics. You get to pick the subjects. And by doing so, you will actually support this channel and the spreading of, well, news, opinion, ideas that people need to hear. I need you to hit the thumbs up button, and then I need you to share the internet address. It's very important we do this, folks. This is how we tell YouTube and social media this is content that's worth watching. And this is how we wake people up. We can't wake people up, folks, unless they hear what we're talking about. So if you've got something and you're like, man, I know this is important, get it up here. Get it up here. Now, let's talk about this topic here. Ted Cruz, Senator Ted Cruz, decided to call out one of these woke corporations. one of these radical corporations. Coca-Cola. No, John. Coca-Cola. That's a soda pop, man. No, it's not. It's not soda pop, folks. It is a money laundering scheme to support the idea of violent socialist takeover in this country. And if you drink Coca-Cola, you're supporting a money laundering scheme. Coca-Cola continues to support BLM, folks, Black Lives Matter. They continue to support radical anti-white and anti-traditional America. So Ted Cruz came out today and he went after Coca-Cola and he went after BLM. He said this, right, in a podcast, quote, "For every corporate donor who sent millions to BLM, including Amazon, Apple, BlackRock, Bank of America, do you regret supporting such a virulently anti-Semitic organization?" Right? Do you support Black Lives Matter Marxist agenda that supports Hamas? Are you anti-Semites? Do you support that we need to end Israel? Well, folks, that's what Black Lives Matter supports. Black Lives Matter grassroots recently released a statement expressing their solidarity, folks, their alignment, their agreement, their support with, quote, our Palestinian family. And they tried drawing parallels, comical as it is, between the struggles faced by Black Americans and those faced by Palestinians. And then they, of course, called for a decolonization of America. Now, if that's the case, then Native Americans, then white people showed up, and then Black people showed up on these slave ships. So I think the first part of decolonization needs to be sending everyone south of the border who came up here back south of the border, because they don't get to be in America. And then we need to send all of the African Americans back to Africa because they don't need to be here in America. And then I think the colonists should look around and try and find some 100% genetically pure Native Americans and see if we can give them the country back. So we got a little bit of work to do before we can do what they want. And yeah, that's tongue in cheek. Yes, I'm making fun of these dumb bastards. Folks, back to what Coca-Cola, Amazon, Apple, BlackRock, Bank of America, and many other corporations are doing. They're supporting terrorism. Supporting terrorism with money is wrong. They're giving money to BLM. BLM is supporting terrorism right here in this country. Supporting terrorism with money or in any other way is wrong. To try and give it moral support is just awful. Supporting it in any way should be a crime. I think Black Lives Matter is a terror organization. It says, folks, that it shares solidarity with people in Palestine who want all the Jews exterminated. That sounds terrorist to me. So where are we going with this, right? This is our country. What the fuck happened to our country? In just a few short years, this is where we've gone. Now, what gets me is corporations are supposed to be about, well, making money for the shareholders, increasing their business model, right? Now, a corporate, as part of their charter, their stated goals, their corporate agenda is supporting the destruction of America, supporting racism, supporting terrorism. That's now in corporate charters. Yeah, it is, folks. Supporting perversion too. Anyone who supports the woke agenda supports all those things. Perverted, anti-American murder. That's what wokeism is, folks. Because if you look at who wants it and what it is and what wokeism supports, you'll see exactly how evil it is. A corporation like BlackRock should be dissolved right now. Their assets should be sold off and returned to other Americans. who invested in that corporation. They should be taken care of. Same with Coca-Cola. They should be dissolved. Same with Apple, Amazon, or any other company that supports terrorism. Just supporting the idea tells me they're going to find a way to support it with money. Oh, wait a minute, John. You have to give them due process. You can't just make an accusation like that. Oh, really? Really? We need due process? We need to have proper trials? No. I say we just take all of their money and all of their property away from them. And if you're an investor in that company, we give you your money back and you can go invest it some other way. But any excess money, we'll just take and we'll give to the poor, and take Apple and Amazon and BlackRock and every other company out, Coca-Cola, etc. We'll just redistribute their wealth to all Americans. We'll just split it up evenly. No, you can't do that. No, I tell you what, we'll do that. And then if you win in court, maybe we'll give it back to you. See, that's the attitude that the Democrat socialists have. Let me show you how they use that attitude. The January 6th protesters, they've arrested them, they've incarcerated them, they did not give them due process. They pronounced them guilty. They put together kangaroo courts with jury pools that hate them. They take their lives and destroy them. They take their bank accounts. Anyone who sends money to support their legal team, that they have denied that. That's part of due process, is having representation. They remove the means of representation, which is the removal of representation itself. In other words, the federal government is full of a bunch of fucking criminals, and evil criminals at that. They're not accidental criminals, they're evil criminals. That's what they're doing, folks. So why shouldn't we take their money from them? Now, all these people that have been locked up in jail for years and years now for protesting, are they going to get their money back? They're being denied due process until they plea bargain. That is, agree that they are criminal. And then the government can say, yep, see, they were criminals all along. This is the country we live in, folks. This is where we're at. This is where we are at. I am not happy about it in the least. Mr. Uman, how are we doing back there, buddy? All good? All right. Are we, let's see, are you over here? Okay. There we are. Okay, very good. Awesome. Now, folks, this is how dangerous the situation we are in is in. In Detroit, there's a synagogue leader, a church leader, synagogue. Let's see, Christians have churches and Jews have synagogues. Well, the leader of a synagogue was stabbed to death outside of her home. And guess whose district she lives in? Congresswoman Rashid Tlaib. Oh, and what has Rashid Tlaib said, Congresswoman, who has been supporting Hamas and supporting the Palestinians and condemning the Israelis? Has she said anything about this? I haven't found it. I have not heard her come out and say the murder of this Jewish synagogue, this leader in the Jewish community, it was wrong for her to be murdered. It was terrible that she was stabbed to death. Well, this is a bad thing, isn't it? Isn't it right, Ilhan Omar? Right, AOC? Right, Rashid? Isn't it terrible that a human being was stabbed to death? You see where this is going, folks? Have we drawn the line strong enough in the sand? I brought up some examples in South Africa, how these socialists are using race as a means to start a war. And they're allowing it. The government allows it so that the fight is between the people. It is a social conflict. It's not a civil war. It's a social conflict, right? It's a partisan conflict. And here we are in America looking at this. They couldn't get it going with the Ukrainians and the Russians. That didn't work. So now they're pushing this Hamas-Israel shit. Right? Where do I stand? I stand with peace and freedom and liberty. The only people I hear calling for the destruction of peace and liberty and freedom are people like the Palestinians here, who want to kill everyone they don't like. People who want to take your rights and my rights. Crazy stuff, folks. Crazy business right here. Where is Rashid Tlaib? Why aren't they condemning this murder? No nation is perfect, folks. No nation is good. Israel, France, England, Russia, Ukraine, the United States of America, no country is good. But to turn and say we need to kill all the people there, anyone who is of that country or of that race or of that origin needs to be destroyed. Kind of like the leadership we're seeing in Washington, D.C. saying the best money we ever spent was the money that was spent killing Russians through Ukraine, through that proxy army of Ukraine that's doing the dirty work for Washington, D.C. You see how dangerous this is? That's how dangerous this game is that they're playing. It's not quite a game in the usual sense of, how we think of games. It really isn't. Boy, I tell you, when it comes home, it's going to come home pretty hard. When it comes home, you're going to feel it. I'm going to feel it. We're going to go on with this some more, folks. We're going to draw some more parallels. You want shit hitting the fan? I don't. Has it hit the fan? Undoubtedly. Well, let's go to Chicago now. There's an art professor there. In fact, this is impressive. At the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, the SAIC, there is a climate scientist. How can you have a climate scientist at a art school? Well, they do. And this art professor called Israelis pigs, savages, and this was one of the most caustic terms I've ever heard. Irredeemable excrement. How would you like it if you were called irredeemable excrement? This coming from someone who is a transsexual. That's right. I'm going to let that one right out of the fucking bag. This person is a transsexual climate scientist from the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. I'm sure that this climate scientist knows all about excrement being smeared all over it. But to call all Israelis, or Jews, if you will, irredeemable excrement, that means unsalvageable pieces of shit. That is what irredeemable excrement is. Perhaps we should say that about Palestine. Perhaps we should say that about any religion, any country, any race. What if we called them all irredeemable excrement and use that as justification and for murder and condemnation of the people eternally? And that's what we have here, folks. Well, anyways, this art professor, who is also a climate scientist and an activist and an associate, right? Like, try and make them sound really good, like they are redeemable, decided that they're going to apologize. Dr. Micah Tosca. I saw a picture of this person, this thing. Dr. Micah Tosca, and I thought, man, that looks like a dude. Well, it is a dude. Micah, Dr. Micah. Is it doctor? Yeah, Dr. Micah, a trans person who said that Jews and Israelis are excrement, irredeemable excrement. Thank you, Jolene. This person also called Israelis defense against Hamas terrorists. Okay, remember, the terrorists killed more than 1,400 people, including children, including the elderly, including women, including little girls, little boys, including babies, kidnapping more than 200 others, including Americans, Europeans, and other. She called Micah the fruitcake, said that Israel, by saying they wanted to defend themselves, they called that propaganda, and that what they were doing was downright evil. Trying to go into Gaza and stop people who want to kill, murder, and slay all of the weak and innocent in Israel. They call that downright evil. Micah the fruitcake. Dr. Micah the fruitcake describes herself with 5 words. I want you to listen to this very carefully. Dr. Micah Tosca describes herself as a, quote, radically optimistic transsexual climate scientist. Radically optimistic transsexual climate scientist. What makes this person radical? Well, to be an activist in the world of climate science means you've picked a side. You're not a scientist. You're not a scientist. You now are pushing an agenda. To be optimistic, this person thinks that they're on the winning team. To be transsexual, they're coming out and stating they have a perverted mentality and do not have a grasp of reality. They don't even understand their own gender. Now, let's continue. Climate. Climate is what it is, right? But radical. Radical means radical in all ways. If you can justify radicalism, folks, in one part of your life, there's a good chance they can justify radicalism in another. Let's look at the ways that, from what little we know of Dr. Micah, the transsexual Tosca, just from the few words we've heard. Radical towards climate, radical towards sex, radical towards social norms, radical against Jews, Israelis. I'm sure there are many other things. I'm sure Dr. Micah Tosca hates your guts if you like Trump. So trans. Oh, Dr. Micah is trans. There's your answer. They hate and deny themselves, their true selves. They hate nature. As a consequence, they hate, well, all natural and good things. They seek destruction of others, and they destroy themselves. Like a chameleon, these self-hating freaks use makeup and drugs to try and camouflage who they are so they can blend in a way. So this apology coming from Dr. Micah Tosca is because Dr. Micah Tosca realizes and understands that despite the freak's optimism, the rest of America does not agree, and that they are a radical, violent, nasty, filthy human being, and they need to hide again. So there's going to be an apology and a hope that you don't remember and that you forget, and that they go on with their militant, destructive, violent, hate-filled lives. And it's all a lie. They're not sorry. They're sorry they were caught. They were sorry it wasn't allowed to stand. They love lies and seeing how they destroy others and others' lives and our nations. This is where we're at. It is a wild, crazy world, folks. I've got a lot more for you. What do you have for me? Well, I tell you what. We're going to step back, and it is Darcy T who has shown up. Thank you, Darcy. That's right. If I pick up the shot glass, guess what? It's time for another Glenlivet 18. And I tell you what, I'm ready for it after that bit about Dr. Fruitcake Micah. Glenlivet, a fine scotch indeed. Semper Fi, Darcy T, thank you for your ongoing support. Yes, like mother's milk, I tell you. All right. Darcy T asks a very simple question, folks. Good evening, John. What are the odds that they will cause a false flag on American soil? Our country, folks. American soil. The United States of America. What are the odds that they will cause another one? Because they caused 9/11 and allowed it to happen. Because they caused other activities to happen. The FBI has been proven in court to be complicit with the events surrounding January 6th, which was, folks, on its face a false flag, and a very determined one at that. While it didn't involve the destruction of a building, it did include the destruction of a movement that demanded accountability in elections. In the 1990s, they needed to destroy patriotism and militias. And they had a false flag. It was called Waco, the Branch Davidians. And they did a very poor job there. And so they tried it again at Randy Weaver's separatist. They needed to go after separatists. And they blew that one and botched it because, again, the ATF and the FBI ended up murdering people. They finally hit pay dirt with the Oklahoma City bombing and blaming someone that they claimed was part of the Patriot movement, Timothy McVeigh. And so they killed the Patriot/militia movement. And we made it all the way to 2001 with 9/11. Absolutely horrifying what they did. And what did that do? Oh, yeah, now we need patriotism. Now we need the Patriot Act. That was a false flag, folks. School shootings, they had to come after our guns. And they kept trying, they kept trying, they kept trying, they kept trying. And they're still trying to come after our guns. And I think that the American people have learned now, looking at South Africa, you give up your guns, these radical wacko socialists will come after you. Are you prepared? Are you prepared for it? They keep pushing for the guns, but they keep realizing and running into the idea, the concept that we Americans love our guns because we see how useful they are. In other countries, they have problems. When you don't have guns, you get killed. Take a look. Well, you thought, which one do you think I'm going to say? Take a look at Eastern Ukraine. Who was killed because they didn't have guns? Ethnic Russians were killed by the Azov battalion. That's who was killed. That's who gets killed, folks. European descendants living in South Africa get killed. Israelis got killed because they gave up their guns. You bet. So back to Darcy T's question. What are the odds they will cause a false flag on the U.S. soil? The odds are 1 in 1, in my opinion. Now, go ahead and put in the comments below what your guys' opinion are. Or if you have a statement or a prediction about another false flag, super chat donation right up there. And let's hear what you think it will be. But I think there is no doubt that we're going to have another false flag on U.S. soil. Will it be something that looks like a militia attack on government so that they can victimize the people that were killed and villainize the so-called killers? They tried it, folks. They were pretty darn successful on January 6th. They destroyed the Oath Keepers, and they destroyed the Proud Boys' name and reputation. They arrested their leaders, prosecuted them for crimes that weren't committed, have them incarcerated. This is the country we live in, folks. This is the country we live in. The United States of America, where if you have a political opinion that differs with Washington, D.C., they can come and arrest you. Are you prepared for the fight that is going to come as a consequence of what they, the government, are doing? I had a very interesting, and it was, I'm going to also say it was awful text message that came from an old friend of mine, Rick. Where the heck is it, Mr. Rick? Ah, he sent another one. Let me read to you this quote. I don't remember reading this quote, but I'm going to read it to you here. Here's the quote. An evil man will burn his own nation to the ground to rule over the ashes. Now, this quote is attributed to Sun Tzu. I don't recall reading that in The Art of War. Perhaps it's in something else that Sun Tzu wrote. An evil man will burn his own nation to the ground to rule over the ashes. That truly is an evil man, is it not? It truly is an evil man. No one else gets anything. There's just ash. But at least they own it and it's theirs. That's how they think, folks. That's how these evil bastards operate. Someone look that up. See if that quote is accurate. I want to be accurate, damn it. Thank you, Rick, very much for that quote. Very upsetting. Very upsetting. I want to step over, though, folks, and look at World War III a little bit. I want to look at World War III. The government of the United States out of Washington, D.C., is not being a very good steward to its people, of the land, of the world, anything, right? Biden decided to just ramp up its bullshit rhetoric and insulted the shit out of Putin by comparing him to Hamas. You know, why? Why would they do that? Why would Biden do that? Well, what it shows me is that the foolish, the stupid, the idiotic will insult an enemy because their fear causes them to do it. Right? In other words, Biden just showed Russia how much he is afraid of Russia. Let me talk to you, or I'll read you what Biden said, how he compared Russia to Hamas. It's rather, insulting intellectually. Let me find this here. Here is Joe Biden, President of the United States. You know, the assault on Israel echoes nearly 20 months of war, tragedy, and brutality inflicted on the people of Ukraine. So he's trying to tie the attack Hamas did on Israel to the response Russia had to what was going on in Ukraine. So Biden continues and says, we have not forgotten the mass graves, the bodies found bearing signs of torture, rape, used as a weapon by the Russians, and thousands of Ukrainian children forcibly taken into Russia, stolen from their parents. Yeah, now he's comparing Russia's actions and Hamas's actions. So I guess Biden is saying that he knows Hamas tortures the Israelis, raped them, and is forcibly taking children. But we were told by Hamas they didn't do that. And Democrats in the United States government, like Rashid Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and AOC and many others, they still support Hamas, even though they've done those things. Biden says it's sick. Do you really believe Biden believes that? Now, Biden continues, folks, and says, Hamas and Putin represent different threats, but they share this in common. They both want to completely annihilate a neighboring democracy. Completely annihilate it. Well, if Biden has a problem with what Russia is doing in their country, why isn't Biden concerned about what his people in his country are doing right under his nose by supporting Hamas? If Hamas is just as sick as Russia, according to Biden, Why isn't he condemning Hamas loudly and condemning anyone that supports it loudly? Well, I'll tell you what, Biden does come out and he says, hey, Hamas, its stated purpose for existing is the destruction of the state of Israel and the murder of the Jewish people. Now, he goes on to lie to you, me, and everyone else on the planet. He says, Hamas does not represent the Palestinian people. Oh, no? Why is it such a vast majority of people polled, asked, who answered the question, do you support what Hamas is doing? And the Palestinians support it. They overwhelmingly support what Hamas does, which includes using the Palestinians as human shields. And it includes them suffering because of what Hamas does. Unbelievable how these people think, folks. This is the world we're in. These incredible, incredible liars. It is Sunday Night Live, folks. Are you prepared to talk about this some more? What is happening to our country and where this is all heading? What do we got going on, Mr. Who-Man? Anything big in your world? Any thoughts that you have, man? I tell you, I've got a whole lot more. A whole lot more. What is happening as they tear down freedom, liberty? Hell, I mean, most countries don't have a right of self-preservation protection. They don't even have a right to free speech. They have privileges. Well, I tell you what, here in America, we have our rights as well. Anyways, hit that super chat button. Let's get it on if we shall. Let's go with this one right here, folks. There's a journalist. Let me get you her name. And she basically just castigated others in media and called them stenographers of terrorists. In other words, the spreader of lies. And her name, I'm guessing she's Israeli, is Batya Ungar Sargon. She's an editor from Newsweek, and she ended up on Fox Business. And she ended up giving everyone an earful. Everyone an earful. And she said this, and folks, we all need to be saying this. And I am not pro-Israeli, I'm pro-freedom. Understand that. And I understand every country's got its problems and every government's awful. But we, the people, whether we're Palestinian or Israeli or American, need to be free. They are the ones calling for the removal of our freedoms. So they're bad. The Palestinians and Hamas are calling for the destruction of Israel. That's bad. So you know who the enemy is. Now, Batya says this. I want to make sure that your audience understands the depravity of what happened yesterday. So after committing the worst atrocities against Jews since the Holocaust, the organization that was involved in dismembering children alive in front of their parents sent out a memo to the American Press Corps 10 days later, in which they said that Israel had killed 500 Palestinians by bombing a hospital. None of that turned out to be true. None of it, folks. But she goes on to say, but our press corps, meaning the American Press Corps, simply reported the lie, like the stenographers of terrorists that they are. And I thought that was brilliant. She says the New York Times, CNN, MSNBC, the Washington Post, the BBC, and the Associated Press all repeated Hamas's lie, word for word. Now, she's done talking. I'm going to start talking. They didn't check the facts. They didn't investigate on the ground. They didn't even have pictures that they could refer to. They just took the words from a terrorist organization and ran with it. They didn't do due diligence. They didn't look it up. They just took their words. No wonder this lady, Batya Ungar Sargon, it's a heck of a name, by the way, decided to go off on the media. And she says this about the media. It has woke mind virus. I thought that's pretty fucking clever. woke mind virus. They cannot tell right from wrong. They cannot tell truth from falsehood, and they simply lie and lie because to them Israel is the oppressor, and they spent 10 days having to describe atrocities, issues that they were just desperate to get Israel back into the oppressor portion or position of the bad guy. That's the world we're in, folks. I thought that this painting of the United States and European media was perfect. Stenographers of terrorists, and that Hamas was committing such awful atrocities. And they couldn't get mad at Israel because they hadn't done anything back. And of course, they sent some missiles in there and everything else, but they hadn't done anything awful. They hadn't done anything that wasn't called for. They hadn't done anything that was a war crime. And so Hamas comes out, they light off a missile, and Joe Biden says, I mean, he's so fuck Joe Biden. Let's continue with this, right? The Palestinians, the Hamas people, light off their own missile and it crashes into the, hospital parking lot. And they want to blame and make a big deal out of it. And yeah, the media, the press corps, completely run with the lie. Can you imagine being an idiot Hamas person going, oh shit, they believe that. Holy crap, let's keep telling some lies. Because the media wants it. Because the United States and European media want to make Israel the bad guy. And they want this war to happen. They want social conflict. They want partisan conflict. They want it to happen so that nations don't have to go to war with each other, that the war exists within the countries, to reduce every country to ash so that those evil bastards can rule their destroyed countries with iron fists. Did I circle back on that or what, Jen Psaki? That's the picture I'm trying to paint. This is what they want for us all. They don't want and don't need World War III with nuclear bombs. They don't need that. They just need us in our own countries fighting one another, and that they can pick and choose who they want to arrest, persecute, and jail, who they can scare, and who, folks, the government can support and allow to commit crimes. The same way Black Lives Matter and Antifa have been committing awful crimes for the last 10 years. And during 2020, they were allowed to commit what I consider to be domestic atrocities. $4 billion in damage from arson and looting, billions of dollars. And they barely got begun, folks. They're doing the same thing in other countries in Europe. They're pushing for it. They've got their test models. They know how to do it. Darcy T, you asked, is there going to be a false flag in this country? The answer is yes, absolutely. They're going to continue to push things like the Jussie Smollett effort or the Bubba Wallace effort to paint people as racists, to start race war. They're going to continue to push the Palestinians, who are a bunch of radical freaks and fruitcakes. Folks, over what country was it? I think it was the Czech Republic. They were holding a pro-Palestinian protest, but they were flying Italian flags. They got the wrong damn flags. Or were they Mexican flags? No, they were Italian flags. Whoops, no, they were Mexican flags. Does it matter? They got the wrong fucking flags. That's how bad, how stupid these people are. They support Palestine, yet they know nothing about the country. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. We've gotten, two people have asked questions. There's no way in hell no one else has a question or comment after all the bullshit that's gone on. Now, I have to ask this question. While the super chat donations, when we get them, have been larger in size, we've gotten fewer of them over the last 6 months. I think there's something very important to address in here. I think the people in America are becoming more and more afraid to use their voices, to speak their truths, to call out their enemies, and to exercise the freedom of speech. It's my opinion that people are becoming more afraid, and that's why we're seeing fewer super chat donations. And the ones that are showing up tend to be larger. because the people that do want to say something and are not afraid are willing to put their money where their mouth is. I find this to be a fascinating thing, and I've watched it on other channels as well. I also know that we have a recession that the government has been trying to hide. But folks, a $2 or $5 or $10 super chat donation is not going to break anybody. I'm not calling people here on the channel cowards or saying that they're bad or wrong or chickens or nothing like that. What I'm saying is people are becoming more reserved. I think they're pulling back. They're watching, they're listening, they're seeing what other people are doing around them. This is why the mainstream media, social media, and government have been trying to censor us. They want to silence us. Now, 5 years ago, if this shit was going on, you bet your ass you'd be screaming and yelling your heads off over this. 10 years ago, you'd be like, you are not going to do that to children in school. You're not going to allow Palestinians to start stabbing Israelis. You're not going to allow any of that shit. There's not going to be Asians being beaten up left and right by blacks. We're not going to have racial crimes in this country out of control, because that's not what America is. Yet here we are putting up with it today. Why? Because the government is now punishing people for standing up for what is right. Like the guy in the subway in New York started acting up, threatening people on the train, subway train. He was taken down. He was immobilized by a former Marine who was then found guilty, folks, of protecting others. He felt that this guy was a threat, an imminent threat to the life or great bodily harm and injury of others. And he exercised his right to protect himself and others by taking this guy out. The guy died, so they charged him with murder, manslaughter, what have you. That's the country we live in, where they protect criminality, folks. And they criminalize your rights. If you don't stand up for yourself, nobody will. You have to stand for what's right, or you don't stand at all. And if you don't know what's right, there's no way you can stand. We're in big trouble, folks. I just want you to realize that. That's why I say you need to be prepared. Now get this. A technology CEO decided he was going to shoot off his soup cooler. And he has now resigned because he made some Israeli Hamas comments. And he says war crimes are war crimes and allies should be called out. Well, he was calling out Israel and what they did. And he was ignoring what Hamas was saying and doing. And like all these Democrats here, folks, he was justifying the horrors of terrorism. And then he was blaming, right, those who hadn't done anything. Now, I do know, folks, I do know that the Palestinians and others claim that Israel commits war crimes against them. But where is the United Nations? Where's the United Nations speaking up against Israel? Where are the nations amongst the United Nations? If the United Nations as an organization won't point out that Israel is committing war crimes. So we're going to take the words of Hamas, a terror organization that's decided to attack Israel. They're now the beacon of truth. We've seen their truth. The moment one of their missiles rams into the parking lot of one of their hospitals, they start lying about it. So who do we believe, right? Well, this jackass says war crimes are war crimes. Well, the only one that we've seen doing that are these terrorists. Right? So he justifies the horrors of terrorism. And he fails to mention that Hamas is the one committing war crimes. The reason I mention this story, folks, is this is a CEO. This is a technocrat, right? They're trying to push this technocracy. The people who are in computer technology are the ones we should be listening to now, like Bill Gates. Oh, Bill Gates, he's so smart. He's responsible for Microsoft. So because he's so smart and so rich, we should trust him with telling us how we need to live our lives. That's the technocracy. the banking technocrats, the industrial technocrats, the climate technocrats, like Dr. Micah. All of these fools, folks, they pronounce themselves to be wise, right? But when they profess their words, they show us that they are nothing but fools and liars. That's what we're dealing with, folks. We are 1 hour into the show. We're just short of 400 people live right now. I'm going to ask you to do something for me. I need you to hit the thumbs up button on this video. The next thing I need you to do, on the thumbs up button is down here somewhere. The next thing I need you to do is share the internet address at the top of the screen. Share it in an email and just send it to people. They may not watch it live, but they can watch it later when they've got some free time. When they look over their shoulder, make sure no one's watching. They can check it out and determine whether or not what we talk about has merit. They may not like it. It may piss them off. It could get their attention, though. It could wake them up and have them go, holy shit, this is all fucked up. What's wrong? What's going on? And then I say, hey, look, you need food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, and means of self-defense. You need those items. You need those things because it's getting very bad. It's getting nasty. I'm not saying go dig a hole in the side of the planet, put a door on it, sit inside and shoot anyone that walks by because you're doomsday preppers. What we're saying is these people are bringing the system down. It's not just going to be in one state. It is everywhere. It's not just going to be in one country. It is all around the world. These people, folks, are militant about what they believe. Militant. Let me share with you what I mean by that. Now, I don't have to make up words for these fruitcakes, by the way. I don't have to make up terms and put words in their mouths. I don't have to do that. I don't have to do anything. I let them say all of the words. All I do is ask you to listen to what they say and then decide for yourself. Should you be prepping? Should you be concerned about your country? Should you be telling others we've got a problem? Should you be standing up for yourselves? Yes. Right. This was crazy when I read this, folks. Listen to this. The BBC, right, is a British broadcasting corporation. They have admitted that one of their writers is, quote, indoctrinating unsuspecting viewers with militant woke agenda. That's right. They have a militant woke agenda. This one writer named Lily Siricki. She's a screenwriter. And her agenda, folks, is to indoctrinate. Now, not just indoctrinate the viewers, but unsuspecting viewers. And what is she trying to indoctrinate them with? A militant woke agenda. Right. Now, this all came out because they have a 1-year writer development scheme to find writers through this thing called Open Call, which is like a talent search. Right. And the aim of this scheme is to encourage and develop drama for their TV shows. So they need to develop good stories and drama. Right? Isn't that interesting? Well, it sounds kind of smart, except this person wants to incorporate their belief systems into this writing scheme. She calls it genre-bending stories, centering the empowerment, joy, and friendships of girls and women who don't fit in. Now, this is absolutely awful, the way this person thinks. Oh, by the way, she's addicted to cuteness and social justice, and is trying to find a recipe for, get this, folks, irresistibly adorable characters who have a woke militant agenda. You got that? They want you. They're looking to create characters for television that you find attractive because they're cute and they're victims and they need help, and they want you to root for them as they do militant, terrorist, woke crap. Literally, folks. This is what they're pushing for. Right? We have militant terrorists who want to kill us already. And the woke have joined their ranks. Militant. What is militant? I remember it was probably 6 years ago. Some lady had a group that came to the Prepared Mind channel to watch the information that was being provided, telling them you need to be prepared. You need to understand. And the one video that they commented on was the hordes will hunt you. The hordes will hunt you. And I used a Simpsons cartoon for the thumbnail. Torches and pitchforks that they were coming after the Simpsons. Right? The hordes will hunt you and your food. They will come after you. Right? If you're a prepper and they think you have something they want, they will come after you if they don't think you're on their side and they want to kill us all off. Some lady decided that I was too militant. I was not and am not still telling people to go out and go training, shoot your guns, so you can go down and hunt down these people and kill them. I'm not telling people to do anything. I'm not glamorizing or glorifying any of this violence. They are. I'm not. I just want people to be able to protect themselves. I want people to understand their rights, their liberties, their duties as human beings and as Americans. These people are the militant woke. And by woke, I mean perverted, sick socialists. And by perverted, I mean trans and gay. Militant, woke, perverted murderers like Hamas. This is who these people are. I am not militant, even though I am a Marine. There are a bunch of Marines, there are a bunch of soldiers, there's a bunch of sailors, there's a bunch of airmen veterans out here who love America, and patriots and hunters and sportsmen everywhere. We don't have to be militant. We just have to be American. That's enough. It's enough for me. But these people want to be militant. Stop and think about it. Every one of these serial killers is a left-wing radical screwball who wants to murder innocent people, and they have manifestos describing how they want to change the world and introduce their leftist doctrine. That's how sick these fucking people are, folks. Sick. All right, let's do this. Let's change direction a little bit, just a little bit. And we've got San Diego Rideshare Pro with a $1.99 super sticker. Thank you, Mr. Rideshare Pro. And San Diego, what a beautiful city. Spent many, many months there in San Diego in my life. Frank Rizzo with a $9.99 super chat donation. Says, behind every blade of grass, a Make America Great Again is going to save you from the booster. I tell you what, I have something to talk about there. I really do. We're going to change gears a little bit bigger yet. Thank you, Mr. Rizzo. Thank you, Mr. San Diego. Now, we'll talk more about blades of grass and all the guns hiding behind them. We'll talk some more about making America great again. But right now, I want to talk a little bit about the booster without talking about the booster. But we will talk about big pharmacy and what they're doing. Now, everyone knows Rite Aid, Walgreens, CVS as major pharmaceutical corporations. They've got pharmacies all over the country. And they sell pharmaceuticals for the big pharma companies, right? CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid, those are retail stores. They've decided to remove cold medicines from the shelves of their CVS stores. Brands that you know. Ready? Sudafed, Mucinex, Allegra, Dayquil. CVS has decided that they don't decongest the users. That's right. Right? They don't work. Some, not all, some of the ingredients in some of these over-the-counter drugs don't do what they're supposed to do, according to the FDA, Food and Drug Administration. So CVS has decided, well, customers Consumers don't need to have these things because they don't work. Now, of course, these drug, shall we call them cocktails, that have different drugs in them, like acetaminophen, Tylenol, or Advil, in addition to the decongestants, they offer relief to people, but still, they're going to remove them. Now, CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid, their pharmacists, also Walmart and other stores and pharmacies, their pharmacists and their pharmacist technicians inject shit into people's bodies, despite the proven scientific medical fact that it is dangerous and also deadly. But is CVS and Walgreens, Rite Aid and others, are they going to stop doing that because there is evidence, proof that what they are offering in the way of medical advice and treatment is dangerous? No. They're going to keep doing that, but they're going to take away your ability to treat yourself and your symptoms. Now, when Cerveza Bug hit, and by the way, because you guys sent out the share this, we've shot up over 400 people live right now. We're an hour and 15 minutes into it, and we're fucking live with over 400 people. Joe Biden can't keep an audience of 300 for more than 1, 2, or 3 minutes, if he can even get that. Now, let us continue with this. Like, they want to tell you what to do and how to live your life. These companies. Now, back when Cerveza Bug first hit, back in the spring of 2020, I heard about it. I went down to, I think, a Rite Aid, and I bought a bunch of Dayquil and NyQuil because I figured if me or anyone else I knew got sick, I was going to make sure that they could be treated very well to handle the cold symptoms. Because that's really what you need, is the ability to deal with the symptoms as your body and its natural immune system gets you over the common cold. Well, it looks like this winter, as we go into it, there just might be a shortage of these products on the shelves. How fucking convenient is that? CVS is the first. Will Walgreens follow? And Rite Aid and Walmart and every other store out there that sells these products off the shelf? All of a sudden, after decades of use, Sudafed and Mucinex and Dayquil don't work anymore? Unbelievable, folks, but believe it. This is what they want to do. Really, this is what they want to do. And there is a gentleman and a group that is in Switzerland, and they are fighting to get big pharmacy and big government and the World Economic Forum and all of these countries and companies that are using diplomatic immunity to push the pandemic paradigm and the consequential demands that governments make. The guy actually says, me and my mom, my mother and I, are dying from what they were injected with, and they want justice. There's still people fighting this, folks. It has been derailed, it has been attacked, it has been silenced, but they don't want you to have the truth. They're trying to stop us. They're trying to stop us. All right, let's do this. Let's do some super chat donations. Where are we at, Mr. Uman? We got Marilyn Myers. And Marilyn, thank you for the great emails over the weekend. I know it's hard to get to everything, but thank you for what you've sent me. She says, the safe, insulated life Americans have led is over. And all the stuff that happens to people in other countries is about to sneak up on all the blind wokers, and it will be all our fault that they were asleep. Now, there's a lot of stuff in there to unpack, Marilyn. Let me try it. Okay, first, now I need a sip of this. Got to wet the old whistle. Okay. The safe, insulated life Americans have led is over. I agree with that statement 100%. The belief that America is insulated from the world, protected by the Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans, We're protected by our morality. We're protected by our Constitution, our media, our decency, our generosity. That protected us. It insulated all of us. No longer. Communication is instant. We've been infiltrated. We're no longer protected by oceans, but ideas have gotten here, Maryland. They've destroyed this country, at least the insulated part of it. Now, you continue and you say, all the stuff that happens to people in other countries is about to sneak up on all the blind wokers. And it will all be our fault that they were asleep. Well, I'll tell you what. You and I, Marilyn, I know you and many others of us here, many of us, we've tried waking people up. We've tried and we said we're being invaded from the southern border. We're being invaded in our schools. Our military is being attacked from the inside. Our politics is being affected by money coming from corporations, both here and abroad, as well as government structures outside of the United States of America, either directly through political, shall we say, chaperoning, or by corporations that make donations. I think that a corporation, once it's international, no longer should be able to participate in the American political system. So Coca-Cola, if you want to send money to political candidates, you can't do that if you have Coca-Cola in other parts of the world. Why? Because we can't trust the terrorist money from, well, let's say Iran, got into Coca-Cola in Mexico, and then Mexico's Coca-Cola division sends it into America. We can't trust that at all. We can't trust it. We've seen and heard now that corporations can send money all over the world. And it is only when government wants to catch the criminals that they stop the funding of terrorism. Ukraine is a massive money laundering scheme. A massive we're talking tens and tens and tens of billions of dollars was funneled into FTX, a cryptocurrency exchange investment system run by a 28-year-old, wet behind the ears, perverted little cretin moron named Sam Bankman-Fried, who sent money over to Ukraine to launder it and send it back to Joe Biden and other politicians. And Joe Biden has not returned the money. He has refused to return the money. He should have accounting and know exactly how much money was sent by Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX and send it back. But here we are, folks. Here we are. This is the game they're playing. This country has been, snuck up on. Woke workers, woke corporations, woke teachers, woke everybody. It's like invasion of the body snatchers, Marilyn. They're all over us. They're to the left, they're to the right, they're everywhere. We no longer have an insulated life, folks. That concept, the leave it to Beaver. The leave it to Beaver, America is good, happy days. It's not that way anymore. It is not Andy Griffith's America. It is not Norman Rockwell's America. It is now George Orwell's America. It is a brave new world led by a bunch of sick, perverted freaks. That is the America that we're living in now, and we're going to have to fight for our lives. Marilyn, thank you very much for the great support you've shown this channel and me, and for helping wake people up. We've been pointing it out for years, and if they don't wake up, it's their own fault, but we can help wake them up. We truly can. That's why we say spread that internet address, hit the thumbs up, do everything you can, and of course, prep to action, get prepared, and call your congressman and tell them to do what's right. I haven't even talked about the Speaker of the House shit that has happened over the weekend. I don't know if we'll even have a chance to get to it. Mr. Uman, who is up next? We've got Mike Landakos. It's been a while, Mike. Good seeing you again, good buddy. 556 super chat donation. And he said, Zionism has created multiple generations of false Christians. Whoa. I'm going to try and steer away from any, shall we say, dogmatic discussion of religion. because everyone comes at religion and Christianity and Judaism and what Israel is and who it should be from very different directions. But what I can say is, let's take a look at American Christians right now. There are churches in America that support homosexuality. There are churches in America that support transgenderism. There are churches in America that support all manner of perversion. And there are churches in America that invited the disgusting, filthy, drag queen, anti-Christian, satanic freaks from Los Angeles to come to their church in Texas. Those are false Christians, folks. Those are some awful people that have any of those beliefs and ideas. Now, Zionism is, let's just be very general on this. It's the belief that the nation of Israel is superior to everyone else. Okay, we're just gonna try and keep it very simple. Right? That we need to support Zionism, this belief system, at all costs and expense. It's an awful world, folks. It truly is. The belief that any one people is superior to everyone else and that everyone else has to bow to their will, whether they do it by using money or by using violence and the threat of violence, is completely awful. The worst parts of human nature cause people to seek power politically. And when they get it, those same worst parts of their human nature that cause them to seek that power causes them to use that power in an abusive way. I don't like the amalgamation. I don't like the consolidation of power that has occurred in the world and how it's used to harm others. You know, morality, decency. How do you enforce it? Well, it ends up getting enforced the hard way every time. It truly does. Mike, there are multiple generations of false Christians. There's multiple generations of false Jews. And even the Muslims can't agree with each other on what being a Muslim truly is. Sadly, people are hurting each other. The Catholic Church is falling apart. It's fighting amongst themselves. Christianity, or rather Protestantism, has been fighting amongst themselves from the very beginning. And like I said, they're all having an awful time. So I don't say believe this way or believe that way. What I say is look to the inside and ask yourself, when it comes to morality, is what I'm doing hurting others? Right? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So I've read too much to put my faith in any of these people out there claiming to be good. Right? You'll know a fruit, or you'll know a tree by its fruits, whether it's an evil or not. And what I see coming out of countries in the Middle East, in Northern Africa, in, well, the Orient, I see just evil on top of evil coming out of there. Bad fruit, folks. Europe, bad fruit everywhere. It's not a good scene. The whole planet is in disarray. That's why I keep saying, well, if there was a place to go that was safe and we could all evacuate, I would recommend we do that. Let's just say if we could head to the South Pole, make a hard left turn, and get out of this place, I'd do it. But you can't. There's really nowhere to go. All right, let's do this. Mr. Uman, who is up next? Thank you, Michael. Next is Mr. Skylight with a $19.99 super chat donation. And he has some more Sun Tzu for us. This is what Mr. Skylight says. He says, the whole secret lies in confusing your enemy so that he cannot fathom your real intent. Sun Tzu, Art of War. This is fantastic, Mr. Skylight. Thank you. And thank you again for the information you send me. Sometimes all of you combined, it's too much. But, you know, that's a good thing to get the information. The whole secret lies in confusing your enemy. So here's what I say. We must remove the confusion that the enemy throws at us. That's what being educated here. That's what the prepared mind is about, is eliminating confusion by accepting information, examining information, determining if the information is valid or not, applying several tests to it. Does it match the history? Does the conclusions and statements it makes matter? Does it make sense? Is it real? Is it morally decent and good? And we either accept it and keep it until something else can, well, be substituted for it, or do we just dismiss it? When you remove the confusion with information that's valid, see, not just information, not, well, November 2nd, they're going to have a meeting and then they're going to pull the plug on the whole planet. The electricity is going to be turned off. We're all going to die. And an asteroid's going to strike. And then they're going to call it wormwood. And this monster's going to come out of the sea and it's going to eat everybody. No. That is not valid information. It's not information we can take and validate, prove to be accurate and true, and then take action on. We get rid of the garbage. Here, I say, look at all the things governments are doing around the world. Look at them all, right? They're doing this, they're doing that, they're doing the other. They're hurting kids, they're screwing their military up, they're bringing in the illegals, they're destroying everything, they're taking people's rights. That's bad stuff going on there. It's validated by the news, which keeps telling me these things are happening. So I'm examining all these bad things happening. I go, well, where does this lead? What has history shown us happens? Well, it shows me that shit hits the fan and that people fight each other and wars are started. I'm going to hang on to that information. It's valid, and I'm going to get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, right? Remove the confusion. Now, we are not fighting the government. The government is fighting us. Their secret lies in their confusion of us, who they consider our enemy. They don't want us to fathom their real intent. They don't want us to know what they're up to. Yet by examining their actions, their decisions, their statements, following it on a course of history, back as far as we can through history, all the way forward to the present, we can understand their intent. And that knowing their intent helps us eliminate confusion. Confusion is bad information, bad data, bad everything. By removing bad data, we understand their intent. And by knowing what their intent is now, we can see where all their information is just confusion. It's noise. It's distraction, as Mr. Uman likes to say. They have to change that distraction every 72 hours or so. Why? Because we start to unravel. We start to figure it out. We start to realize it is a distraction. It is confusion. It's bullshit. It's hysteria. It's lies. It's fear porn. It's crap. And it's crap and it's crap. So then they've got to do another, Darcy. They have to do another false flag. Small one, small one, small one, small one, small one, until they quit working. Then they need to do a big one. Pow. Joe Biden, Hunter, Joe Biden gets too big. Pow. Pow. Israel, Hamas. Where's Joe Biden? Where's the impeachment? Oh, well, we don't have Kevin McCarthy. We can't do anything now. Oh, bullshit. Bullshit. Impeach that son of a bitch. That's where we're at. Folks, wisdom. Wisdom is the ability to say something important and convey an entire process of thinking. That's why our vocabulary, our English language is so good, so unique. Not that other languages aren't good. I'm just saying that the word confusion, we understand what it means. Agenda, we know what it means. There's a 1,000 thoughts behind each word that's used. And so when you string along a series of important words that all convey a huge meaning, right? That is wisdom. So one sentence from Sun Tzu, from over 2,000 years ago is timeless. It still matters. It still applies. That's wisdom. That's philosophy. All right, Mr. Uman, let's step it on up. We're at the 90-minute mark. We're closing in on the end of the show, but we still have 30 minutes to go. Now, super chat donation, that button right up there will get you down on the screen here. NPNY 1970 has this to say. With his $4.99 super chat donation, he says, the longer this goes on, I believe Trump and his people are all on the same page with the globalists. They are all liars. None of these crooks will pay. That was a big-ass statement, man. The longer this goes on, I believe Trump and his people are all on the same page with the globalists. They're all liars. Now, this is very interesting. The current news about Trump is that his people, Trump is in court. He's being sued by the state of Georgia, or a little prosecutor in Georgia, and the attorney general for the state of New York. They want to throw Trump in jail. They have just convinced his people, the Trump administration people, that were trying to question the election back in 2020, 2021, back at that time frame. They're all being convinced that they need to turn state's evidence. They need to cop a plea to a lower crime and then turn state's evidence, start testifying the way the state wants. And that's what they're doing. And these aren't little people, these are big people. One of the biggest being Trump's attorney, Sidney Powell, is going to turn state's evidence against who? Against Trump's other team members, or against Trump himself, or everybody and all of them? How can Trump be on the same page with the globalists? It's a great question. How can he be on the same page as the globalists if Trump goes to jail? How can Trump be on the same page with the globalists if what he's doing exposes all of their hatred for America? Folks, before Trump, we didn't think the Democrats hated America. We just thought they wanted to be socialists. We just thought they wanted more tax money. We just thought they didn't like guns. We just thought they were a bunch of ignorant fucksticks. But when Trump came around, whoa, we learned some big lessons about them. What happened when Trump came around? We started hearing about, well, spaghetti and pizza. Or is it hot dogs? Or is it all those things, these sick, perverted freaks? We started learning about child sex trafficking and very powerful people around the world who are still getting in trouble, who are still being convicted and tried. It's coming out. Now, I understand your frustration with Trump and his people because they're failing us. They failed us in the election of 2020. We wanted them to win. They're failing right now by losing in court. It's disheartening. I thought about this quite a bit, NPNY 1970. I think Trump, a lot of people believe he is a Judas goat, but he's leading all of the sheep to slaughter. And then a lot of people just believe he's just being sacrificed. Right? He's the one person who is willing to stand up to them. And the lesson to be taught to the world is it doesn't matter if you're a rich, charismatic, nationalist American. Nothing you say is going to protect you from the deep state and their attack on you. And they will come at you unrelenting. They will fabricate all manner of crime against you to convict you in the minds of the people and some chicken shit court somewhere. And that appears to be what Trump is doing. He's being taken down. Now, you say the longer this goes on, I believe Trump and his people are all on the same page with the globalists. They are all liars. Folks, I believe the entire lot of them are liars. None of these crooks will pay. Ultimately, they all pay. I have this discussion sometimes, the part about paying. is people that are liars, they know they're liars. They hate the fact that they're liars and they can't be who they are. They can't be a good person. They hate themselves, so they want to punish and destroy others. They want to destroy countries. They want to steal from others. They want to try justifying their evil by saying, well, everyone's bad and evil, so therefore it's okay for me to be bad and evil and do bad things. They're undecent people. They're awful people. Yeah. When we say Trump and his people are on the same page with the globalists, what I would like explained to me is how Trump benefits from all of this. I would like to know how Trump benefits from all this. I try and be very critical of President Trump. And I'm seeing his people. They're turning on him. They're rolling over. Who was it? It was General Flynn just last week said that Q is a psyop. That's right. QAnon was a psychological operation. Yeah. Yeah, at the very least, that's what it was. At the very least. So what did that show us? Once again, it teaches us that the people in charge, the truly evil bastards in the government, have very powerful tools through social media, through artificial intelligence, through computer technology to affect the way of the American people think. So why haven't they convinced you, NPNY 1970, to follow their shit, to come to their defense, the United States government, right, that wants to destroy our Constitution? The whole country knows that Washington, D.C. is full of evil fucks. And the states that are full of Democrats that are ruining their states, like Illinois, California, New York, Washington, those people know that their state governments are shit. You and I know that in our neighborhoods, in our lives, in the business world, the people around us, the Democrats are anti-American, lying, thieving scumbags, and they're perverted freaks. We know that. They aren't all of those things. Some may be, but they aren't all of those things at once. Some of them are just perverted freaks. Others are liars. Some are just cheating snakes. Others just hate America. And some just hate other people, and they don't care how they can, but they want to destroy them. And they're out there pretending like chameleons to blend in until they become so hate-filled, like they were with Trump. And they become so full of themselves, optimistic, like Dr. Micah, the freak fruitcake, who thinks it's fine to kill Jews because they are irredeemable excrement. That's how these Democrats think. And when they feel like they're going to win, when they feel like there's no way they can lose, they'll start coming out of the woodwork. They'll start coming out in the streets, coming out in social media, attacking people for being good, decent human beings. That's what they're about. They're about evil and anger and hatred and destruction. That's all they care about. We're seeing them now. This is who they are, folks. This is who they are. They're not going to just go away. They aren't. Right? Pro-Palestinian. Okay, excellent. Well, let's do this. I'm going to stop the pro-Palestinian thing. I want to hear what Uman has to say. Uman says, I have and continue to equate Trump to the North Side mob fighting the South Side mob. None are truly the good guys. Be that as it may, is Trump trying to steal my rights? Is he trying to convince me that my rights don't matter? Is he trying to take my First Amendment right to speak away? Is he trying to take my Second Amendment right to self-preservation away? Is Trump trying to tax me? Is Trump trying to poison my kids and my wife and my husband and my this and my that, as all Americans would say? Not that I have a wife and a husband. I'm not saying that, but every American has a perspective. Is Trump trying to do this to me or that to me? My kids, my parents. Is Trump trying to introduce transsexualism in schools? Right? Is Trump trying to do all that evil shit that the Democrats are doing? The answer on all those cases is no. He's not doing that. He never pushed for that, even when he had all the authority. So I'm going to come back to Uman's thoughts here. Well, Trump is on a different gang, that's all. He's on the North Side mob, and the South Side mob's the Democrats. So what is it that the North Side mob wants that would make me not want them in charge? Right? What is it that Trump would do? And if you'd like, you can come on, Mr. Uman, and explain this other side. How, well, Trump isn't that type of evil, but he's doing or willing to do or would do these other things. Right? He would come out or could come out and then completely make me go, whoa, I don't want this guy either. So what say you, Mr. Uman?
Well, I liked what Trump was doing on a diplomatic level. I like what Trump was doing on a economic level. But when the first thing that made me question him was when he came out with the take the guns first comments and the whole continuing to push the Jim Jones juice well after everything had passed and not stopping that until he was getting booed at his campaign stops.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think he is truly, I think he's looking out for himself, and that's why I keep looking at it as this North Side, South Side mom thing. It's like Russia, Ukraine. I don't think either of them are the good guys. Israel, Palestine. I don't think either of those are the good guys. I mean, I understand both sides of each situation, and I like with Israel, I think they're more than justified in responding the way they have for being attacked. But I'm not a Israel guy. I'm not a Palestine guy. I'm not a Ukrainian guy or a Russian guy. It's like you got these two bad factions fighting against each other. And it's just, I don't think we could overlook some of the other stuff that he's done and said to see that he's really not that 100% MAGA guy that a lot of people want to believe he is.
Right, yeah. What's his vision of America? You could say make America great again, and that means something different than what we think should make America great again. I get that. Yeah, he did push the vaccination. He did push that, right? And he Operation Warp Speeded it. And he stood up in front of the world with a bunch of pharmaceutical companies talking about how they were going to fix everything. And it was disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, and then there's also the stuff.
You look like a pharmaceutical sellout.
Exactly. And then there's also the other things, like he loved to complain about when nothing happened, just like all the Republicans do. They like being the minority. They like being the guys that say, oh, well, we tried. We just couldn't get it done because we didn't have the support for this or that or the other. I mean, when you look at it, all the bitching he's doing about the voting system. If that voting system was so screwed up and the elections were so screwed up when he got on his first term, and they had control of both the House and the Senate for those first 2 years, the fact that they got nothing done there, I have no sympathy for him bitching about how or where we are at today with that whole voting system thing.
The voting system, Obamacare, there were a lot of things they could have taken care of.
Yes.
The first 2 years of the Trump administration. And they played the, oh, gee whiz, we don't want to use our power and look bad. And it's political nonsense and horseshit.
Yeah, it's all uniparty stuff. I mean, there really is truly no Republican and no Democrat. They push against each other, put up a great show. It's all kabuki theater, and everything either moves to the left this fast or this fast. Yeah.
Let's take Trump, set him over here. Okay, President. Well, let me put him over here so he's away from you. I don't want him too close to you. If you put Trump over here. Now, when you mention uniparty, we're talking Congress. The House right now is showing us exactly how it's Democrats versus Republicans, and it's Republicans versus Republicans. Yep. Republicans are fucking losers, and they're good at it. There is no true Republican Congress, even if they had full Republican Congress. So Trump over here, even with a Republican House and Senate, had no chance in hell of getting rid of Obamacare, because all of the Republicans are making money off of it. They're getting sponsored. They're getting donations. They're getting jobs. Their kids are going to school. They're fucking bought up. So it doesn't matter what Trump wanted or didn't want or how nationalist he truly was or not. He was not going to win. He wasn't going to win that battle over Obamacare or pharmaceutical or anything else. It wasn't going to end. So I removed that idea that Trump had solidarity in the Republican Party. Look at him today. The fucking Republican Party hates him. The GOP on the national level.
I don't put that on Trump. I put that on the Republicans.
Correct.
Because, you know, if it would have been the other way around, say, you know, if the Republicans had that Democratic attitude and they would all come together, even though they have their differences and they're infighting and everything else too, Jim Jordan would have got elected on that first, he would have been put in as Speaker of the House on that first round of voting.
Right.
Despite all the other crap going on in between the different groups over there, they come together and they stand as one, and the Republicans will not do that.
Yeah.
So a lot of that stuff I do put on the Republicans, but Trump did not do his job as a cheerleader to push this stuff hard enough to make to shame them into compliance or whatever you need to do, you know, to make the people aware of what's going on.
When Trump was elected, we had Republicans come out and they were never Trumpers right from the very beginning. He didn't stand a fucking chance, in my opinion. So yeah, he could be North Side mob. But my point here, Mr. Uman, is people claiming to be Republicans within the North Side mob were really plants, infiltrators from the South Side mob.
Oh yeah, there's
stand a fucking chance.
Half of the Republicans are South Side mob acting as North Side mob.
Right. You know? That's the point I have, is we don't even know what the North Side mob wants because they can't get it together enough.
All right.
Now, what I will say is let's take what you're saying is Trump didn't fucking muscle down and go around the table with baseball bats and bash heads in like Al Capone when someone didn't do their job right. He did not straighten up the Republican Party. He did not unite the Republican Party. But let's suppose he did. Let's suppose we got to 2020 and the Republican Party was united behind Trump, or they were going to be primaried and get their asses kicked. And we get to all the riots where the Democrat mayors and governors allowed their states to fucking burn. And they allowed protesters to assault police, attempt arson on courthouses, police stations, cars, businesses, people. They allowed it, man. Because Trump was president. They wanted, if Trump had gone in there and said, you know what, fuck you, I'm sending in the National Guard whether you like it or not. You're allowing your state to burn. You're not taking real action. These people need to be arrested or shot on site.
You know what?
What would we say about him then? We would say, holy shit. We got an Hitler on our hands, right?
The Democrats right now have state-level people prosecuting a former president. You don't think Trump could have found some super smart guys that could have figured out a way to sue all these governors and bring them up on charges for dereliction of duties and who knows what else?
Yeah.
To get them to enforce the damn law. And
when you tell the government
riots,
you tell the government you are going to go sue the other government. You're going to the King's Court and you're asking the King's Court to find the King's Court and the King's men guilty. They're playing for their own team. Government is not on our team. And if the government doesn't like you, the courts, they won't like, there's nothing Trump can do. He's going to a different, it'd be like us going to, let's pick a country, man. You and I went to Iran. No, what's worse than Iran? Pick one worse than Iran. They would want to kill you and me on sight.
You can pick any of them over there.
Saudi Arabia.
The Afghanistan and Iraq wounds are probably still pretty fresh.
Okay. Yeah, if we went there and they accused us of a crime and we said, let's get the best attorney in this country, what would our chances be of winning?
Oh, it would be absolutely zero.
It would be absolutely zero. No matter, even if we had their very best attorney working within a system that is prejudiced against us, that doesn't like us, they're willing to lie, cheat, and steal. That's where I think Trump is. I don't think he's no savior. And a lot of people believe he was a savior. I just don't think we even ever got to see this awful Hitler character that they kept saying he was going to be. He never had enough solidarity behind him, enough support in government.
No.
But it does frighten the fuck out of me that this is the government we have, one that's willing to take a former president and absolutely destroy him rather than just ignore him. And I think Trump is bringing on himself because he's running for president again. And there's no other charismatic leader in the Republican Party who's willing to do what he's doing.
Well, you know what? I also think he brought a lot of this on himself as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because during the last campaign, he was telling Hillary, well, if I was president, I'd put you in jail.
And he should have.
Yeah, and he didn't follow through on that threat. Now they're taking that and they're following through on it.
Yes, they are.
So you either don't say stupid shit like that, or you follow through on it.
You've got
It's not like isn't supposedly enough evidence out there to prove all these things that were being said.
Same with Biden, same with Hunter, same with all of them.
Yeah.
Eric Holder, Obama, you name it. Pelosi.
Yeah. And then you go out there and you appeal directly to the people. You go out there, you commandeer the goddamn TV and radio stations once a week, twice a week, and give the United States people an update on what's happening, who's doing what, and what's not getting done.
That's what his Truth Social is supposed to be about.
Yeah, and that's doing nothing.
Well, I'll tell you what, they're trying. Now, I do have something right here to bring up on that topic if we get back to it.
Okay, well, as far as Truth Social goes, that's all he did was set up an echo chamber. The people that already believed all those things are all over there, but the people that don't believe it, they're not over there. They're not going to go over there. They're not looking for the truth because they already have enough information and evidence to support their beliefs by what they see on TV every day.
Mm-hmm. Now, Jesse the Body, right? Ventura, governor of Minnesota, actor, wrestler, former special forces dude, right? He got into politics. He got to governorship, and he thought, should he run for president of the United States? And this was over a decade ago. He was like, no, I shouldn't, because the only way to fix all the problems is to become a dictator. That is the upshot of what he said.
Yeah.
The system, and this was over a decade ago. He said the system is this broke. You can't fix it from within. And when I heard that, it was disheartening because he's got a perspective that I don't think you or I or anyone who aren't in high government can appreciate.
No.
How cumbersome and overbearing the bureaucracy is. How just awful the court system is. It's there to support itself. Every branch and piece of government is there to ensure that it exists perpetually.
Yeah, the bureaucracy has to collapse. They have to run out of money to stop being able to pay these people, so they all leave on their own, and then gut it from there.
Yep.
I mean, that's the only way it works. You're not going to be able to abolish the IRS. You're not going to be able to abolish the ATF and all these other things that everybody calls for. It won't be allowed.
Now, let's do this. Let's take Trump and push him off the edge of the table because I want to talk about something else with you.
Oh, okay.
All right. Elon Musk, super billionaire. Trump was super billionaire, fucked up, gone. Now we got Elon Musk, super billionaire. He owns Twitter, an established social media company that everyone knows, loves, and accepts and uses, except me and you. Anyways, most of the world, right? And he's talking to the world. And Europe is trying to censor and silence him. Could Elon Musk run as president of the United States?
No.
Why not?
Because he was not a natural-born U.S. citizen.
Obama.
Yes, but Obama claimed to be a natural-born U.S. citizen. Nobody had the balls to bring out the evidence or investigate it to prove it was or wasn't true.
Lied the whole way. It was proven that he was not an American. He was allowed to be president. I know what you're saying, though. I understand. Yeah. But he has the social media platform, so he can speak for himself and be heard rather than developing an echo chamber like the Prepared Mind. We're an echo chamber for people who think like us. And we're asking you, everyone in the audience, to go out and grab other people, bring them here and say, does this sound good to you? Because if it does, you better fucking pay attention. We're talking about the things that matter to people on our level. So, but Elon Musk, he wants to speak to people up on this upper level, right? So he's doing it. He removed the gold verification badge of the New York Times from Twitter, meaning they are no better than me or you or anyone else just shooting their fucking soup coolers off. They're, talking shit. Because they said the Israeli bombing of the hospital in Gaza was real. And Musk said, "You're lying. You lied to the world. We're taking away your verification badge." He's fighting him now. He's
Oh,
fighting
that's
Europe.
great.
Now he's fighting the media.
I hope he's successful, and I don't trust him any further than I could throw him either. You know, anybody at that level is, I find it hard to believe that they're doing it out of the goodness of their hearts for us, the American people. I believe they all have their ulterior motives and who knows what. I don't have an answer as to who the right guy would be, but it has to be somebody that's not a celebrity, not involved in the news media. You know, it has to be a good business guy. Trump was a good business guy, but he also got wrapped up in the whole celebrity and other stuff there. But I mean, we need somebody, and then we need to get some kind of term limits in on all these other positions so we don't have this perpetual bureaucracy that the House and Senate have turned into.
Yeah. Well,
you know, we need to.
They're liars. Politicians and lawyers are fucking liars. Most of the rich people on the planet are compromised in one way or the other. They've done a dirty deal somewhere. Somehow they've benefited in a way that someone else can use to ruin their reputation.
Right. And now if you think Musk is not beholden to the government with his whole SpaceX thing and all the government ties with that, and I don't trust this whole stuff that he's doing with the Neuralink and everything else either. I mean,
I don't trust that. It scares the shit out of me.
It's, you know, maybe this is the European mob or the Australian mob or South African mob trying to move in on us now too. You know, I have no idea.
Because he wasn't born here, educated and indoctrinated in the belief that the Constitution is the finest document that created a free country. I don't trust him to protect it the way it should.
No.
Now, if I, John, was walking along, let's say a riverbed, and I found a giant gold nugget, and I went, holy cow, that gold nugget, that represents freedom and all the good things in life. If I'm walking along through the desert of human governments and I come across the U.S. Constitution and I saw what it was, like that gold nugget, I'd be like, oh my God, I've got to stand up and protect this thing, all of it, because all of it is important. I can't chop off a part of it and expect it to be as valuable and as good, you know. So I don't know why someone from another country couldn't take the Constitution, but no one from any other country that has used it as a model has used it successfully, because they've piecemealed it and pulled pieces and parts off. So yeah, I don't think Elon Musk would appreciate it. He would appreciate it, but then he wouldn't defend it in all of its places, and no one will.
No,
they're beholden to one thing or another.
Our own people born in our own country aren't willing to do that these days anymore. So I don't know that we can entrust that with somebody from a foreign country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do want to leave on a good note here.
We can't leave yet because we got 2 more super chats.
Okay, we'll do that first as well.
All right.
I want to finish our conversation on a very good note, and I want to talk about someone who's dear to me, and that would be, and I'd like you to stay up on the screen for the super chats as well. Since you're here, we'll finish out the show. Is George Washington. He is the epitome of goodness. He was very wealthy, came from a wealthy family. He could have been a governor. He could have been anything for the Brits. He could have sold out, but he chose freedom and liberty, righteousness, and treating men equally. He spoke out against slavery at the time, which was socially and legally acceptable. He spoke out against it. He was offered kingship of America. He declined. He didn't want kingship. He didn't want to be the richest man in America. That was our friend John Hancock, who stuck his neck out at his level. John Hancock, the most wealthy man in America, was the first to sign the Declaration of Independence, signed it very large so the fucking king wouldn't have to put on his spectacles to read it. And he made it front and center, right? Both these guys and many others, I think, were really good men and wealthy and powerful. And they wanted America to be free so that they knew their freedom and liberty was attached to the liberty of the people, and that they could never truly be free unless the people were also free. And I'll stop on that note. There's got to be some good people out there. They can't all think that evil is going to win, because evil kills itself. It does. Anyways, there's a George Washington out there.
Yeah, well, we can hope so.
I hope so.
Yes. We need to find a way to find him and elevate him into that kind of a position, and hope he's willing to do so.
Yeah. Well, let's continue with the.
Well, let me turn myself off for a moment. I'm going to put the next super chat up here for you, and then if I need to come back, you can bring me back. Otherwise, just want to say have a good week, everybody, and thanks for coming out to play.
Okay, wait till I call for the super chat, because I'm going to go a little further.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I want to take this George Washington thing a little further with everyone to understand how it worked in 1776. In 1776, they didn't have social media. People had to rely on word of mouth, Pony Express, that sort of thing, right? A guy riding through the night, basically your Paul Revere shouting the redcoats are coming, to get information spread. They decided to fight the redcoats. They signed the Declaration of Independence. There's a war against England, a revolution, a revolt against tyranny. The Americans didn't win because they were right. The American colonists did not win because they were philosophically correct. They won because they were committed to winning, and they were willing to do everything and anything it took to defeat the tyrant. They committed acts that today law enforcement calls terrorism, because they'll call anything that challenges their authority terrorism. Okay, now, George Washington and his army got their asses kicked left and right. Battle after battle after battle, the Americans got their asses kicked. Now, there's some great stories like Ethan Allen and Ticonderoga and Dixon and all other great American things. Even Benedict Arnold, folks, was a great American patriot until he sold out and was caught as a traitor, and is now synonymous with what a traitor is a Benedict Arnold. But the Americans got their asses kicked left and right, even though they pulled some cool shit, right? Like the crossing at Delaware, right? Crossing the Potomac. That was fucking awesome. Sneaking around, fooling the stupid ass Brits because of their arrogance, because they thought they should win because they were all powerful and the greatest military of all time. That's what they thought. They're the greatest military ever. We're the British. The sun never sets on the British Empire. Right? They were a bunch of haughty, fucking belligerent assholes. But still, they were kicking the shit out of the Americans. It wasn't until Valley Forge, where the Americans were all but defeated. The people that supported them had all but given up. And they went through a harsh, horrible, awful winter. And we had von Steuben from Germany, and we had Marquis de Lafayette from France, allies of liberty and freedom, and Americans who were there because of a political and spiritual philosophy, folks, that most people don't believe in anymore. And they came through Valley Forge, they came through the winter, and they continued to fight, and eventually they forced the English to give up. They defeated them and defeated them and defeated them and won. And the flag was still there. Okay, this is what we're up against. It's not going to be an easy victory. There's going to be traitors. People are going to suffer and die. It's going to be harsh the whole way. There's going to be fucking sellouts like there were in the colonies. They were called Tories. 4 out of 5 people loved the English and were willing to suck on their fingers or toes or whatever they gave them for nourishment. Okay. This is the road we've got to go down to get to freedom again. We're going to have to fight really hard. You can't just walk away from an enemy and expect them to leave us the fuck alone. They will come after you like bullies and pick on you and rob you blind, and then pick the flesh off your bones until your bones are sun bleached. And then they'll make trophies out of your bones later if we let them. You can't get away from these fucking people. Now, is there someone that can lead this country? Is there a John Hancock that'll support Is there a John Hancock that will support an effort? Is there a George Washington that will lead the effort? Are there people that will ride through the night, through physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual exhaustion, shouting, the redcoats are coming, get prepared? We all have our parts to play. This is where we're at, folks. We're watching them try and destroy us. All right, let's do this, man. I know that we're a little bit over the 2-hour mark, but as usual, or as I say, super chat donations will get read and taken care of. We've got Cottage Farm with a super chat donation of 22 or 23.33. Thank you very much for that awesome donation, Cottage Farm. I hope all is well. All is well out there with you on the West Coast. It's rough. It really is rough. Anyways, a Cottage Farm, thank you so much. Thank you. She says, is Trump a Trojan? Me thinky so. Me bethinky tabinky so. Howdy, prepared mind folk. Trump could be a Trojan horse. He could be. He could have been sent in there. Now, I understand this. This is why I go, what the fuck is he thinking? Did he go in there with his family name, his reputation, with his ego, just to get kicked around and fight and then lose on purpose? Right? That's the Trojan horse. There's the Trojan bad and the Trojan good. Is he the Trojan horse that we got suckered with? Right? No, he went in there knowing he's going to have this fight and just lose. And then he's going to go off and live on an island somewhere, and his family's going to be rewarded just fine. And none of his people are really going to go to jail. But we, the people, we get run through the ringer, and we go up and we go down and we go left and we go right, and we just get our asses kicked because Trump is the Trojan horse. It's hard to say, right? I just don't believe Trump with his ego would want to be that person. That he would want to be the pariah, that the entire socialist world kicks in the nuts from sun up till sundown, right? He's their whipping boy. He's their bitch. They get to destroy him as they destroy America. It's hard to believe that he could be that guy, but perhaps he is. Perhaps he is. Perhaps he's, as Uman says, he's just another gang leader. And his gang is not as strong as the gang that's in charge now. And so his gang, the Trump gang, got killed. And that he never really would have been the person he was, or we would like him to be. And we just saw in him things that we wanted because we were hoping for a leader that truly loves America. But when he had an opportunity to stop the 2020 riots, he didn't. When he had an opportunity to say, you know what, fuck this pandemic shit, and he didn't stop it. And he kept pushing it even after he wasn't president, and people would boo him for it because we didn't buy it. And then finally he stopped it. I mean, it's very possible that he's that person. I just hope he wasn't. But I hope even more that there is a true leader out there. But I don't think we're going to, at this point, this is awful, and I need to think about it some more, and I need to spend some time in a very quiet, personal place and wonder, right, what it's going to take and where this nation is going to have to go. Who is going to lead this country? We can't have a leaderless resistance. We can have resistance. The resistance is there, but who is going to lead it? Is it Trump? It doesn't look like it. It's not going to be Alex Jones. It won't be me. I can't lead the entire nation. Who am I? I'm nobody. We're all a bunch of nobodies. But who is this somebody? Who is a recognized figure that is moral and decent and can stand up to evil and face it down and win? Who is that character? And if that character exists, how quickly would he be attacked as trying to emulate Christ by being so perfect and so smart and so intelligent that they could overcome every objection and answer every question perfectly and put every evil in its place and explain unequivocally his position and make it so superior that the other side gives up, hangs their head in shame, and goes back into the holes and under the bridges and into the toadstools from which they came out of. I don't know. Anyways, Cottage Farm, we've got our work cut out for us as people to make sure we don't make a bad mistake, that in our lives we can remain prepared, vigilant, and honest with ourselves. And the time is going to come when we all get to face the music. The fat lady's going to sing, right? And the thing that was the United States of America is going to, it's going to be shown as the Potemkin city that it truly is. It's a paper city now at this point, a paper country. It's a facade of what it once was. It's a mirage in the distance that we want to get to, and we can't get back to that great city, that shining city on a hill that was the United States of America. And the Democrats, to their credit, to their evil credit, they get to win that portion of it. We got a big fucking problem on our hands. Okay, Mr. Uman, where do we want to go next? We got NPNY 1970 with a $9.99 super chat donation. He says, I understand your point, but I know about pizza and corruption way before Trump. He'll never see a day of jail, and everything that happens to him sets a precedent for us. I hope you are right. Love from New York. I'll tell you what, brother or sister. I get it. I do understand. Human trafficking is nothing new. Drug trafficking is nothing new. Using drugs and sex and all manner of sin and licentiousness to control your political opponents on the near and then the far and then the wide to control your country is the system that's been in place for centuries. And it was, I'm going to dare say, perfected by the English in their control of India and China and Japan, and the attempt to control the United States of America under the same scandalous efforts and techniques. There is nothing new under the sun. As far as Trump seeing a day in jail, you are absolutely right. They may say Trump has gone off to jail. They could put someone in a fake mask. They could do one of their artificial intelligence computer games, and yep, Trump's going to jail. Bye-bye Trump, bye-bye Barron, bye-bye Don Jr., bye-bye Eric, bye, fuck you, all you Trumps go to jail forever. And we could see them being marched into some jail or down to Guantanamo Bay. And who are we? How would we ever know if they truly went to jail? But what it would do is it would tell us, you are defeated, America. So I don't want Trump, Donald J. Trump, to lose for one reason. Not because of anything other than I don't want America to give up. I think that Trump was our one and only and last hope. That's what I'm afraid America will do, is give up if Trump goes to jail. Fuck it, send him to jail. Right? I have yet begun to fight. Send him to jail. Come after me. Come after all of us. Come after America like fucking real men, and stop being cowards, hiding behind their fake bullshit badges and courts and laws and chicken shit. Right? They don't have guts. They don't have balls. They don't have backbones. They're a bunch of fucking cowards playing their silly little psychological operations games. They haven't fooled me into giving up what I think is most precious and dear. They haven't convinced me to give up my faith. They haven't tricked me into selling myself out. In fact, the more shit they pull, the more conscious and aware I become of who I should be, despite all my faults, failures, sins, weaknesses, etc., as a human being. I think I'm a better person now because I survived all that shit and I see what they're fucking doing. Back to that art of confusion, right? right? The object, and this was brought up by Mr. Skylight, right? They want to keep us in a state of confusion. Right? That's what they want to do. I'm going to continue NPNY to eliminate the confusion and to try and be a better person and know that the fight is not going to be an easy one. And I don't need to rely on someone like Trump, not just one person. Now, I'd love to see Trump win. I tell you what, I would get a kick out of it if the fighting began. It's going to be a terrible, horrifying day, and it's going to be, how do I put this? It's going to be a gratifying day to see the American people fighting for liberty with their bare hands, with knives, with clubs, with guns, with whatever they can get their hands on. It's awful to say, and I'm not glamorizing it. It's going to be an unglamorous thing. It is going to be awful, but great. It is going to be horrifying, but it's going to be necessary. I see these things coming. You cannot stop evil by pretending it doesn't exist. You can't make evil go away by telling it, we see you, evil. You must go away now. Evil can only be stopped by one way, and that is by killing it. Period. Evil must be destroyed, where it will not go away. Thank you much, Mr. Uman. Are we done with Super Chat donations? We got Soft Kitty 9 with a $2 Super Chat donation. Thank you, Soft Kitty. Folks, it's about morality and it's about philosophy. Period. You've got to have a foundation of morality. You've got to have a belief system, and one that you've seen or know of that can be sustained. Fascism cannot sustain itself. Socialism and communism cannot sustain themselves. Only a moral republic can be sustained. We used to think, man, America's great. The Roman Empire, folks, made it over 400 years. Hell, it made it a lot longer than that before it ultimately and totally collapsed. United States of America, 250 years old. It's toast. The Roman Empire, as corrupt as it was at the very end, outlasted us. Why? Why? I have my ideas why. I do. I would love for America to have lasted 500 years, but it's not going to. All right. Chance favors the prepared mind. I want to thank everybody for participating today in this discussion. This mental exercise. And I want to say to you, Semper Fi means always faithful to what you know is right, what you know is true, and what you know you must do. And God bless America and the people who live here and the people of the world. We have one hell of a fight in front of us.